Hi, I'm Dr. Aliabadi. If you struggle with irregular cycles, acne, facial hair, body hair, hair loss, or insulin resistance, you might be dealing with PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. Having dedicated my life to helping women with PCOS, I understand the challenges in getting an accurate diagnosis and the right care. That's why I created Ovi, a science-backed alternative to prescription medications. Ovi is designed to help you take control of your health with clinically proven, validated ingredients in a simple, once-a-day solution. For too long, women with PCOS have had to choose between lifelong prescriptions or complicated supplement regimens. Ovi offers a better way to help manage your symptoms without the hassle. It's my mission to empower women facing PCOS and other hormonal issues by providing the information and support they need. Reclaim your health once and for all. Go to ovi.com. That's ovii.com and start today.
So I'm so excited today to have Gabby Bernstein. And those of you that don't know Gabby Bernstein, she's a spiritual self-help author. And this is your 10th book, and it's called Self-Help. This is your chance to change your life. As a mom, I have 5 children, and I
God bless you.
God bless me. But I'm struggling to find spirituality in their lives. And I grew up Catholic, and I grew up going to church.
Yeah.
I loved the tradition of going to church, and I loved the feeling and the quietness that would happen in my mind when I'm in church. I still love that. But with my children, I have struggled to help them find their spirituality. So I was so excited to talk to you because I think spirituality and religion they can be the same and they can be very different. And then I have this other side of me, which is this witchy side where, when the full moon comes, I make all of the kids write on a piece of paper things that they want to manifest into their lives and things they want to get rid of. And then we go outside, we burn it. I mean, so they have this both sides of their mom that they know. I know that's a lot at the beginning to talk about.
I'm ready to dive into all of that.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you. Well, I want to speak to the children and spirituality. And I think that's actually a question I haven't been asked really ever in this way. And I'm really grateful for this question because I think that, first of all, what I teach is completely non-denominational. So I don't care how you find your spiritual connection. It absolutely can be in a church or in a temple. It can be in a yoga class. It can be riding a bike. It doesn't really matter. I don't care what you call it. I just care that you call upon it. I don't care where you find it. I just hope that it serves you. And so I've always sort of perceived myself as a can opener. I'm writing these books to crack people open to a spiritual relationship of their own understanding. And that message is exactly what I hear you saying as you're offering this to your children. Choose your own adventure, kids, right? Here's what I know. Here's how I find God. Here's how I relate to this spiritual connection. This is what it's meant to me. But it's in all these other places. I'm going to send you 5 copies of one of my books called The Universe Has Your Back.
Okay.
And that book is my most popular book. And it's actually all about transforming fear into faith. And it really guides the reader to establish a faith of their own understanding. And that is what I hear you wanting to give them. And the beautiful thing about having children with a parent that has spiritual faith is as long as you're not forcing or pushing your beliefs onto them, which you're not, you're modeling for them what that faith looks like, what it means, what it can offer you in your life, the miracles of living with faith, and the safety, the inner safety of what that looks like. And so you can trust that you're planting the seed. So really you're doing everything right with your kids by just speaking about it, introducing it, talking about it, representing it, being it. I have a 6-year-old, so I'll sit with him at night and we talk to his angels every night. And so we'll say, thank you, angels, for having no bad dreams tonight. Thank you for protecting us and guiding us and watching over us. And I absolutely inherently believe in angels. And I have that presence in my world and spiritual guidance. And I can channel, so I know, can feel, can see. And so instead of pushing that on him, I just talk to him about it the same way I would talk to him about how to play soccer.
Right.
And at night he goes like this. He puts his arms out. And he goes, huggies for everyone. And he was like hugging all the angels. And he goes like this. He starts like putting little hearts out to them. And I tell him that the way I see them is it's like these little sparks of light. And then he's like, oh, I see so many sparks. My mother brought me to visit ashrams as a child, and she would be very frantic. And then she'd walk into her bedroom and I'd smell incense coming up under the door, and I'd hear the mantra music. And then she'd come out 30 minutes later and she'd be completely different. And those imprints were lasting for me. There was never a feeling of being pushed to be spiritual. In my early 20s, I really turned my back on that spirituality and was looking for God in all the wrong places, and drugs and alcohol. And frankly, when I got clean and sober, I got sober at 25. I remembered that there was a way, that there was a spiritual presence beyond my physical sight. I remembered that connection. I longed for that connection. And that's when I really started to develop it for myself.
That's amazing. Was that when you started writing books? I mean, it was when you got sober?
When I got sober at 25, I knew that I had this knowing that I wanted to be a motivational speaker and a self-help book author. Even when I was using, I would have these stacks of self-help books next to my bed, and I would be in like an after-hours party in my studio apartment and be like, I'm going to be a motivational speaker and a self-help book author. People would be like, nice try. But what was the gift for me was that it was right there. And what getting sober was diving into spirituality. And I really dove in head first. Within about 6 or 7 months of my sobriety, I actually started giving talks on my recovery, on my spiritual faith. And I was very much at the forefront of a new generation of spiritual seekers. And I started giving talks in New York City. And I would, pull out the chairs in the Gay, Lesbian, Transgender Center, or like at the Soho House or wherever I was getting a microphone. And it became this really beautiful movement of women in their 20s at the time. My audience has really grown up with me. It's less age specific and gender specific now, but at the time it was like a bunch of women in their 20s coming in for spirituality and really resonating with this idea that we didn't have to, that life didn't have to be so hard, and that there was a spiritual solution to the difficult problems in our life.
And then a lot of your earlier books are about manifesting. And so can you talk about that and what you've learned? There is this thought that if you say it, you become. And I think that there's some people that are like, that's just a bunch of bullshit. A lot of people think that's a lot of woo-woo, and a lot of people think that's actually the key to everything. So kind of tell me about that.
I think it's both. I think that there's definite truth to changing your thoughts, because that will change your energy, and then your energy is what manifests. But the real manifesting flex is to change your beliefs. We manifest what we believe. So if we're in a belief system that we've probably carried around since a very young age, of I'm inadequate, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to lose the weight, or I'm never going to be able to make money, or I can't have love. Those beliefs become so ingrained, and we repurpose them and we replay them and we project them onto different people and different bodies in the same exact way. And we repeat them so frequently that those beliefs emit an energy, and that energy is what is reflected back to us. So when you have a really strong core belief, there's no amount of positive thinking that's going to undo that belief system. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is really how do we actually unburden those beliefs
and change that.
And change and heal the core beliefs that are blocking our manifesting power. So there's a lot of tools and practices that I've written about for decades, and they work. But the real work is healing the beliefs.
And how do you do that?
Beliefs. Well, that's all the body of work that's in my 10th book now, Self-Help. And the thesis is that we have these core beliefs as children. And the book is a self-help book, but it's based on the principles of a therapy called internal family systems therapy. I think the best way to do this is actually teach the book first, because the book is meant to simplify this model. Okay. So we all grow up and we have these adverse experiences as children, sometimes big T trauma, sometimes small T trauma, right? So big T trauma for me was I experienced sexual abuse as a child. That's big T trauma.
How old were you?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Yeah, I actually didn't remember until I was 36. I was completely checked out of the memory. And so that was big T, big T. Small T trauma could be a teacher told you were stupid, or a parent was not around that much, or you felt like you didn't get enough attention, but still a significant experience. And as children, we don't have the ability to process those experiences. We don't have the brain capacity. And often we don't have a parental figure that is attuned to what's happening and able to help us process. So we're left alone in these impermissible experiences that are backed by shame and guilt and inadequacy and fear and oftentimes terror. And so as little people, we're like, oh my God, I cannot experience that anymore. I'm too terrified by that. And so we exile it. We shut it down. It's almost like we lock it up and we send, go down into the basement. I'm never going to see that feeling again. This is all unconsciously happening. And we build up a lot of protection mechanisms to not have to face those feelings. So we have these protection mechanisms that run our life. And anyone that's listening is like, if you just think of one or two extreme patterns or behaviors in your life, it could be something like being in control or people pleasing, or it could be more extreme like alcoholism or addiction.
Right.
And these extreme protection mechanisms completely run our world. And as a result, we kind of live in this pretty dissociated way where we're just bouncing from protection mechanism to protection mechanism. And anytime something triggers that feeling from our childhood, we just go boom, right into that
Right back
protection
into
mechanism.
that old pattern that you have.
Totally. So much so that often we get so blended by the pattern that once we act out, we come out and we're like, I don't know what came over me.
Right.
Have you ever said, like, I don't know what came over me? You became blended with a part of you that's a protector part. So what I'm teaching are the principles of IFS, but it's really important for me to share. I'm trained in internal family systems therapy, but I'm not a therapist. I'm a self-help book author. With the blessing of the founder of IFS, I have been given the gift of being able to share this message and democratize this work outside of the therapist's office in a very truncated, simplified way.
Okay.
So
which is great, so that every woman can pick up this book, or every man or every child. Exactly.
Child can experience this work. And then if they're really touched by it, go get an IFS therapist and go deeper. And this book is not meant to go and dive into those exiled, traumatized children. It's really meant to work with the manager protector parts, right? So the parts of us that are reacting. That's what we want to heal. And as we start to heal those reactive parts, this beautiful thing happens, which is that our true essence starts to emerge because we're no longer blocking it. So that could be your spiritual presence, the God within you, the Buddha nature, I don't care what you call it. But in this context, we call it self with a capital S. And self is an energy. It's an energy of compassion and connection and courage, curiosity, confidence, clarity, creativity, these C qualities. And there's a beautiful quote that self is like the sun behind the clouds. And it's always there, but when the clouds lift, then it can emerge. And so as we start to reflect and become curious and connect to these protection mechanisms, we actually allow self to emerge naturally. And when self starts to emerge, then we feel more calm and we feel more courageous and we feel more confident and we feel less burdened by these protection mechanisms that run our life. And that's what this practice is all about. I'll teach you the practice.
Yeah. So I guess for me, somebody that has this very busy brain, and I do yoga, and that's kind of the only time when my brain was quiet, all my really great business ideas came up and thoughts.
Yes.
I'd write them down.
Creative.
And then they were, the creative flow happens when you're able to quiet.
That's right.
But is this similar to meditation?
That's self. Yeah.
Okay.
So the ways we would experience that self energy, and it can emerge in a yoga class, definitely, and in Shavasana, when we're on a run, when we're playing with children and we're playful and we just sort of expand time and we're not thinking about what we have to do tomorrow, and or in creative projects when we're writing or we're making art in moments of being genuinely caring for a child, or these are moments when we experience the essence of self. And so your description of that creative juice flowing in Shavasana or in the yoga, that's self energy emerging because you've been creating space for the protectors to settle.
Okay.
But it's deeper than that because this is about an inner reflection. And I'll take you through it.
Yeah, take me through it.
Okay. So we have, let's imagine we have these protection mechanisms. So I have, one I call the controller, and she has been very active in my life, and she's created a lot of chaos and she's done a lot of good, right? So she's written 10 books in 14 years, but she's also created a lot of chaos in my life. And so when I'm with this controller part and I have enough awareness that, the controller's here again, I'm acting like an asshole at work, or I'm, trying to control a situation that I don't need to, I will follow the 4-step practice from the book. And so you would, step 1, choose to check in, which is really as simple as making a decision to focus your attention inside. And so instead of checking out and going to the refrigerator or going to the, whatever it is that the booze or whatever we do to check out, you would choose to check in. That's step 1. And then step 2 is to offer curiosity to that part of you. So you might say, okay, controller, how long have you been around? Where do you live in my body? What do you feel like? Are there any thoughts or feelings or sensations that you want me to know about? Just being curious and just getting a little bit of information and giving attention to that controlling aspect of yourself, or myself in this case. The 3rd step is then to offer compassionate connection to that part of you, and just even putting your hand on your heart, taking a deep breath and saying to that part of you, hey, controller, what do you need right now? And these parts of us will reveal really amazing things. They'll say, well, I need to rest, or I need to dance, or I need to be creative, or I need to cry, or I just need, they're little kids inside of us, right?
Yeah.
They're like inner children. And they're just like, I just need to be seen. And then the 4th step is just simple. It's just checking in inside again and noticing that after this inquiry and after this curiosity and connection, how do you feel now? And you check for those seed qualities of self. Do I feel a little bit more creative? Do I feel calmer? Do I feel compassionate towards myself? Do I feel a little bit of curiosity and courage and connectedness? And even if you notice the slightest tinge of one of those seed qualities, you've done the job, you've done the work. And then you rinse and repeat. You come back and do that again 3 hours later, or you do it again tomorrow, or you do it when you're having a fight with your spouse, or you just keep coming back and keep coming back. And this way of living is allowing you to check in instead of live in a checked out way. And the more you practice this inner inquiry and this gentle process, the more those seed qualities become very natural for you. And the self energy starts to emerge naturally. And it becomes a feeling that you become more safe with and more comfortable with and more connected to. And you start to trust it more and you start to rely on it more. And as these younger parts of you start to trust in self, they can relax.
Well, it's like self-soothing children. Remember, that's what we
It's
teach
the
them when we're little. Like,
same
you need to
thing.
teach them how to self-soothe. You can't
That's
always
right.
pick them up. You can't always
That's right.
you're teaching them. So you're teaching your child, your inner child.
You become
to
your own
self-soothe.
inner parent.
Yeah.
You become your
That's
own inner
amazing.
parent. Self is the inner parent. And so the steps that I've created, these 4 steps are actually self-like qualities, right? Choice, and then the curiosity and the compassionate connection. These are qualities that are like self. And so if you start to just activate them, self emerges. And so if you think about it, just like you said, we've got little children inside of us. They need support, and we are the support system. We have an internal parent inside of us that can show up and support them.
Yeah.
And imagine you lived your life and you're like, oh wait, I have a place to go inside.
Right. Because I do think that, especially as women, I'm not going to say especially as women, because men, no, I think it's more.
I'm going to say
I think
especially as women, because
yeah.
we also have the hurdle of hormones, which we
Yes.
can talk about too.
Yes, exactly, which I'd love to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the things that we tend to reach for in our society is, like, oh, I'm having this feeling. What can I do to numb it?
Let me protect it and numb it out.
Yeah. Am I going to have a glass of wine? Am I going to, have like you said, food is sometimes used to soothe. Like there's like all these things. Or let me take some
Exercise, medicine,
Exactly.
or just behaviors, right? So let me get to work so I don't have to feel this.
Right.
Let me control everything. Let me people please so I don't have to feel
Yeah.
this. I mean, you could list anyone listening, just think of 1 or 2 extreme patterns or behaviors in your life. Even anxiety is a protector, or physical pain, body parts are protectors. So instead of having to feel something, we are going to focus on our back pain.
Right. No, it is interesting when I think about my own self, and I can only speak up to that, but I'm like, have this amazing podcast, just launched another company, have all these children, I have an amazing marriage. So I'm doing all of these things all day long. And then at around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock is when I've done all of my, I've like work is kind of winding down, like, whatever this is, there's almost an hour before the kids come home after sports, where I don't have anything to do. And all of a sudden that's my quiet time. And that's when all of that anxiety calms.
What do you do in those moments?
Well, I'm working on it, which is why.
But doesn't matter. Just speak for what you
now.
do.
Well, that used to be around the time that I have a glass of wine, or I used to try to, just things that would like block those feelings.
Totally.
Anything that was taking me out of that.
What I would suggest, so the next time you are in that 3 o'clock witching hour for yourself and you notice that desire to pick up the drink, do the check-in process first.
Yeah.
And once you've done the check-in process, then pick up the drink. I don't care what you do, but just check in first.
And do something.
Because it's the space between the stimulus and the response that matters.
Right.
And if you just put something right in front of it, you are caring for the part of you that's not comfortable sitting in the stuff or the anxiety. There's actually a whole chapter in the book called Anxious Parts, and you can check in with the anxiety. And you just do that 4 steps, and very likely you might get to a place where you're like, I'm a little bit calmer. You know what? I'm actually, instead of the drink, I'm going to go sit on my beautiful patio and have a tea. Or I'm going to make a phone call. I might just go for a walk around the neighborhood because I've just done that check-in. Or pick up the drink. I don't care, but you've done the process first. And so if you just gave yourself that 4-step check-in, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and try it for like 30 days.
Okay. That's amazing. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah. Just keep that simple.
I also think that there's something, I said this to a friend the other day, is like, why do we think that we should be free of anxiety all the time, happy all the time? All of these moments in life, like it's okay every now and then to have, especially, and let's talk about hormones, like women in hormones, I'm in perimenopause, like all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to kill somebody.
Well, I'm 45 and I just went into menopause.
Okay. So you get it.
I am here.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just started HRT about 6 months ago.
Okay. Has it helped?
It has.
Okay,
Tremendously.
great.
And I did a lot of IVF later in life.
Yeah. And for a lot of our younger audience, I think it's going to be such a gift for them, because these conversations will have happened. Like our poor mothers. I mean, they were told that hormones are going to kill you, that, they suffered literally in silence, ignored, and no one talked about it.
They were ignored.
Yeah.
They were shamed.
Yeah.
They were shut down. And this stuff can take your life, these hormonal fluctuations. I had postpartum that nearly took my life. And that's when I'd waited way too long to get support there. And then this time around, I said, it was like 4 months in, I was actually at a retreat with a bunch of women. There was a lot of hormonal specialists there. And I was like, tell me what to do. And within, a few months of dealing with really extreme issues, I went right into the treatment.
Okay, great.
And I'm so excited. When I met with my doctor recently, she's like, so are you ready to thrive? And I had a lot of compassion for myself. It was really emotional.
But you should, because you took care of yourself. So how did that change your work? Like, how did this, because here you are writing about manifesting and then all of a sudden you get hit over the head by the hormone hammer.
Well, the thing is that I think, I believe I probably was in perimenopause from 35 until, because I'm 45 now. So it's usually 10 years prior. Now I'm full blown menopause. So I think that the experience of being in perimenopause, I lived through that without knowing I was living through that. And I did get, with IUI, I got pregnant with my first child. And then through IVF, 9 rounds of IVF, I got one healthy embryo. Mm-hmm. And I carried him for 5.5 months. And I had to have an abortion to let that child go. And that's a whole other conversation that would have taken my life if I had kept carrying on with that pregnancy. My trajectory of perimenopause was also infused with a tremendous amount of hormones. I was doing treatment. I was pregnant, delivered a baby, then had all these menopausal symptoms. And so I think that women in their mid-30s, get your hormone panels checked and just know what's up.
Just know your baseline.
Know your 100%. Baseline. It changes month over month.
And it's really symptoms based. So
it's symptoms.
I had 2 miscarriages. I know so many of us have it. So, how did you?
I said to my husband right after I had the D&E, I said, this is what I have been training for, because my faith that I had built over 2 decades held me like a blanket. And I curled up in that blanket and I just trusted in that faith so much. And I'm not actually emotional because of the loss. I'm emotional about the faith. Like it was just such a blessing to be able to know, okay, God has a plan. This plan was not how I planned it, but there's information here. And I'm going to grieve it. I'm going to dissociate for as long as I need to, because that's a protection that I need right now. And I'm going to titrate in and out of this grief. And I'm going to be open to what this is for me. And now, 3 years later, I can tell you right here, right now, that was God's plan for me, because I am complete, thrilled to have one child, grateful that I have one child, because I am being asked to serve in a way that requires me to be out in the world. And I want to give my child as much of me as possible. And if I had to, it would be very different.
What do you think was, in that moment in your life, what all that you had learned, the thing that got you through the most?
My spiritual faith.
Okay, so
knowing, not just thinking, knowing that there is a higher power, knowing that this baby came to me, was a spirit that came to me to teach me something, opening my heart to what, then with curiosity, what would you have me know from this? What is it that I can learn from this? And simultaneously having all the embedded trauma recovery tools in my nervous system and in my brain to process this and to heal myself. And the work in this book is actually what helped me as well, because that IFS treatment and the checking in. For example, my girlfriends all showed up shortly the day before I had to have the procedure, and they brought me soups, and we were just sitting around my apartment and we were spending time together, and they're all like, why aren't you losing your shit? Just lose your shit. Just let it out. And I was like, no. I have a really strong dissociative protective
You
part.
knew what to do.
I was like, my dissociation is protecting me right now. I am not messing with this. I'm not going to try to puncture it. It is here. I'm going to let it be here as long as it needs to be. I'm checked out, and that's good. I'm not going to touch that. And I'll let you know when I'm ready to give a little titration into that feeling.
Okay.
But not right now. And that was that awareness was, again, 20 years of spiritual and personal development. And to know that.
But what if somebody going through trauma right now that's like, okay, I don't have that, it's almost like that layer of all those years.
If you're just experiencing or remembering a trauma right now, I would recommend my book, Happy Days, which is the guided path from trauma to profound freedom and inner peace. And it tells the story and the journey of when I remembered trauma at 36, then how I recovered. And I also recommend self-help, because one of the chapters in Happy Days became the book Self-Help. I do this a lot. I'll be writing one book, and then I'm like in the middle of writing, I'm like, oh shit, this is a chapter. This chapter is a book. And then I have to go and start writing the next book. So that IFS work is all inside this new book, Self-Help. And so I think that or Happy Days, whichever, read the introduction to both and just decide which is for you.
And we are all going to have trauma. We are all going to have sadness. Mm-hmm. And it's literally finding the tools to figure out how to change the narrative for yourself. And it can be something that is beautiful inside of you rather than something that is sad and dark. And I think that is such an amazing message to have.
I think you get there when you do the work, right?
But you have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
Just wake up one day and say, I'm just going to turn this sadness into... Yeah.
I think that there is sometimes a tendency to be like, let me turn my pain into my purpose right now. And I think that takes a little time. I think you want to give yourself the journey of grieving, the journey of healing, the journey of moving through, because if you don't, then you're just overriding the experience and it will come back to bite you.
I don't know why I was that little girl who just throughout my life, I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And I do. And I work my ass off to get there.
Yeah.
But I literally, when I'm asked, career advice or relationship advice or, all of these things. And listen, I make tons of mistakes and I don't have the perfect life, but I do think that there really is something to this manifestation. My second husband, Tom, before I met him, I literally manifested him. And I talk about this all the time. I said, I wrote everything that I wanted in a man, put it on a piece of paper. Like every day I would read it, I would look at it. So everything I've done in my career, I've also intentionally thought about what I wanted, this is what I want. Now you can't just sit around and say like, this is what I want in life and let's make it happen. You have to work hard and make those things happen. So if somebody's listening.
It's really simple.
Okay.
You believe.
Yeah.
So my guess, and this is just my hypothesis, is that growing up we all have adversity in our own ways, but my guess is that you were brought up to believe that you are worthy.
Yes.
Yeah? Is that accurate?
Yes.
That belief is strong in you.
Right. But what about if you were not brought up to believe?
That's when you need a book like Self-Help.
Okay.
Or any book or any teacher or that's when you, or therapy or whatever it might be. I'm not going to be like my book is the only way, but that's the beliefs. And I'm sure there's areas of your life, and we don't have to go there right now, but where you may not have had that strong of belief. Maybe, for me, my career, I always believed. Why? I had a mother that was a serial entrepreneur. She was like a hustler. She was going to make money no matter what. She taught me I could do anything. She didn't have a lot of money, but she hustled. And she taught me you can do anything. Mm-hmm. Even to this day, my mom's like selling beads and like doing real estate, and she's like 75, like right. So like this woman is what embedded that belief in me. But then I really suffered in relationships because I didn't have that faith there, right? So we might have certain corners of our life where we believe, and that's where everything manifests. And then we have these other corners of our life where we have lot less belief because there's burdened beliefs, and then we manifest the opposite of what we want.
So for everyone listening right now, you've had, how many years have you been doing this?
19 years.
19 years.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that have like surprised you the most about spirituality? And are you scared of death?
I'm only afraid of death in that I really like being here.
Yeah, me too. I love being here. This is awesome. I love everybody around me. It's amazing. That's what I am too.
I love that answer too. It's such a good answer. And because truthfully, I know where I'm going. So I'm not afraid of that. Knowing that there's more and there's so much beyond my physical sight. And so I don't want to leave this body because I'm on a mission. I have a beautiful husband and a child. I have just the richness of this life. I'm having fun here. And I genuinely know that I'm here to serve and heal and help people. And so I can't go anywhere. I got to stick around.
You got to stick around. You've got too much to do. So this has been incredible. I can't wait to read all your books. I'm so excited. Yeah. We always end the podcast with just some tips for, like your 5 favorite tips. And by the way, it could be anything that it could be a website that you love, that you are, or it could be tips from your book. Like just for every woman listening, we're trying to give them as much information and access.
What are the 5 things I wish I had told myself? Okay,
exactly. That's a great one.
Yeah,
what are the 5 things that you wish you knew when you were 25?
Wear a hat.
Sunscreen.
Wear a hat and sunscreen.
Yeah.
I would say get your hormones checked in your mid-30s and never stop getting them checked as often, maybe once a year or twice a year. Get like a full panel of your hormonal and read every book you can about hormonal health now, and listen to this show as often as you can. Just soak up the information, get super educated. Oh my God, that's like numero uno. Educate for everything, but primarily your hormones, because all the other symptoms really are just coming from the hormonal disruptions, right? So just get that straight in your head. I would say establish a spiritual connection of your own. And so whether it's through a book, whether it's through an audio, whether it's through a spiritual teacher, whether it's through a church, whatever it might be, open your heart. And you don't even necessarily need to know what to do. You could just start to say, I welcome a spiritual connection, and just open your heart to that, whatever that might be for you. And then I wasn't going to suggest sobriety, but like sort of like be conscious of your substance connection, right? Like how
is it numbing you? Is it fun or is it something?
Is it like, because like I think when you can have a drink to just wind down, like that's wonderful. Like just enjoy your drink,
I say, my thing is, because I'm sober curious right now, and when it happened to me where I woke up and I was, we drank like teenagers during COVID and all this crazy, but I woke up one morning and I was like, it's running me, I'm not running it. It's just sort of like being aware, like being, conscious, understanding that of like your habits and like you said for your book, taking that time to say, oh, here it goes. I'm feeling this feeling, like, and I can't wait to read your book and sort of, go into those steps. I think it's going to be great.
What are these 2 more that I have? I've been sugar-free for a long time.
Have?
Yeah.
Was that hard?
For 11 years.
What was harder, alcohol or sugar to give up?
Neither, because I wanted it.
Okay.
Neither.
You were ready.
Yeah. But I think that having a healthy relationship with your sugar is another one. And then I think just find a way to establish a compassionate connection towards yourself in any way, shape, or form, whether that's through therapy, through self-help, this book, through just creating friendships and bonds, but opening yourself up to the possibility of compassionate connection towards yourself.
How did you find IFS?
It found me. So I was in my recovery, in my trauma recovery, my sober recovery, and I had a therapist for 7 years. And that specific therapist was using the model, but I didn't know that she was. So I was doing this therapy and I didn't know what it was. And one afternoon during COVID, I was watching a YouTube video, and it was this man, Richard Schwartz, being interviewed, Dr. Richard Schwartz. And he started talking about this model that he invented called IFS. And I was like, I have been doing that for 7 years. Oh my God, that's the thing. Shortly after, I started my podcast, Dear Gabby, and I invited him to join me on the show. And it was just instant love. And he recommended that I go through the training, and I went through the facilitator training and got trained in level 1 and 2 of internal family systems. And then, of course, here I am carrying the message.
Amazing. Can you just tell our listeners and our viewers that are watching where they can find you, where they can find the book, all that?
Well, go to deargabby.com. That's my website. And the book's out. It's self-help. You can grab it anywhere you get your books. Go to a local bookstore if you can. And the other place I think is really valuable, and I'll give this to you, but I have a coaching app. So it's like I can be your coach in your pocket. And it's the Gabby coaching app. And there's hundreds of meditations and workshops and little mini lessons. And you can pull affirmations from the app. It's like a little card pull. And there's also these check-ins from the book that I can guide you through.
Amazing.
So your 3 o'clock hour and you're having anxiety, you can do the anxious check-in with me. You'll just turn to your phone, press play, and I'll guide you through that check-in.
Oh, amazing. Okay, we're going to have links to all of this on our site so that everybody can just go on shemdpodcast.com. Thank you so much.
This was gorgeous conversation.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I think that, Dr. A and I talk a lot about these women are coming into our lives that have the same goal that we do, which is we're going to change the world for women's health. And whether it's mental health, hormone health, spiritual health, we're all on a mission because we're like, screw you.
Yes.
Like we are, we're going to bring love and positivity to the world. And honey, I mean it. And I think you're just right there with us.
Let's hold hands and take people to a better place.
Yeah, 100%.
That's right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Committed.
Perfect. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today on SheMD.
If you want to own your own health, a good place to start is by following us on social media at SheMD Podcast and by subscribing to our show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
For takeaways from today's episode, visit our website, shemdpodcast.com. We'll see you next time on SheMD. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician's medical advice. You should regularly consult your medical provider in matters relating to your own health. Even though we share our honest beliefs on SheMD, some of the products and services we discuss may involve sponsorships or paid advertising.